They weren't just any ordinary people. They were a special group. A force that commanded respect across the land. And I was just a man trying to stay out of the spotlight, far away from the chaos of their lives. But fame and notoriety have a way of finding you, even when you're hiding in the shadows. It was a difficult day, filled with a heavy sense of dread that I couldn't shake off. I felt a sudden pull, a destiny calling me toward a path I never intended to take, while the elite and their followers were caught up in their own trivial affairs. I was moving in the opposite direction, heading straight for the heart of the academy. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. But then, everything changed. The reality of the situation hit me like a physical blow. Is this really happening? Deep in the shadows of the academy, a man stands alone, haunted by a recurring pattern of chaos that seems to follow him wherever he goes. The silence of the night is broken only by the weight of his own thoughts, as he questions the very nature of his unlucky existence. Suddenly, a sharp whistling sound cuts through the air, signaling that the peace is about to be shattered once again. A sudden movement, a blur of motion. The chaos has arrived, and it's more violent than he could have imagined. He whispers a silent prayer for a fallen comrade, a moment of grief amidst the unfolding disaster. He can't believe the sheer scale of the devastation. It wasn't just a simple accident. A bomb exploded, and the air was thick with the lethal sting of electricity. The destruction was absolute. This wasn't a random act of violence or a simple break-in. No common thief could pull off something this sophisticated. This was a calculated strike. As the smoke clears, one terrifying truth remains. Someone is hunting, and they are far more dangerous than anyone realized. The realization hits like a physical blow. This isn't just a simple robbery. The true motive is far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. A sudden, sharp sound cuts through the air, leaving the young man frozen in pure confusion and fear. The chaos is unfolding rapidly. He can't comprehend the meaning behind this sudden, violent outburst. The truth is even worse. It's a coordinated attack by heavily armed intruders, and their target is the most important train in the fleet. The veteran officer realizes the gravity of the situation. Staying behind might be the only way to protect the others. With a grim determination, he urges the younger man to evacuate, sacrificing his own safety for the sake of the mission. But before anyone can escape, a sudden strike descends, leaving only a blood-curdling scream in its wake. The older man froze, his eyes widening in pure disbelief as he stared at the figure before him. With a cold, piercing gaze, the younger man stripped away the facade, making it clear that his performance was far from convincing. He wasn't just playing a role, he was exposing a truth that couldn't be ignored. He pointed out the impossible trains don't just accelerate at high speeds without a reason. And it wasn't just the speed. The protective barriers surrounding the tracks had also mysteriously failed. To pull off such a feat without any internal assistance was nothing short of a miracle or a calculated strike. The older man's breath hitched, his composure crumbling under the weight of the revelation. Every detail was being scrutinized by eyes that saw right through the lies. The confrontation reached a boiling point as the truth became impossible to hide. As the pressure mounted, one question hung in the air, threatening to unravel everything. What exactly are they after? The tension in the hallway was suffocating. A sharp command cut through the silence, demanding immediate movement. The man froze, his mind racing as he tried to process the sudden, aggressive demand. Then, a sound pierced the air. A sound so familiar, it sent a jolt of pure adrenaline through his veins. His eyes widened in disbelief. Could that sound really be what he thought it was? Suddenly, the atmosphere shattered. Everything moved in a blur of motion. The sudden shift in energy left no room for hesitation. As the chaos unfolded, a single, terrifying thought began to take root in his mind. The realization hit him like a physical blow. This couldn't be happening. Panic began to set in as the gravity of the situation became impossible to ignore. Every instinct told him that something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. He stood there, caught in the middle of a nightmare that was only just beginning. The pieces were falling into place, but the truth was far more dangerous than he ever imagined.
What happens next will leave you breathless!
Amidst the smoke and debris, a single figure remained standing, defying all logic. The soldiers can't believe their eyes. How could anyone survive such a relentless onslaught of gunfire? But the survivor isn't running. With a cold, steady gaze, he stares down his executioners. The order is given without hesitation.
Eliminate him!
The triggers are pulled, and a hail of bullets screams toward its target. But then everything stops. The bullets don't hit. They simply freeze. The soldiers stand paralyzed, staring at the impossible sight before them. Panic sets in as the weapons themselves begin to malfunction under an unseen force. The truth finally hits them like a physical blow. This isn't just a survivor. He is a mage, wielding power that defies the laws of modern warfare. With a single surge of energy, he neutralized the entire squad's firepower. The battle has only just begun, and the world is about to learn that some secrets are too powerful to remain hidden. A sudden, violent force erupts, catching everyone completely off guard. The air thickens with sudden dread as a powerful presence makes itself known. The unexpected arrival of a powerful mage on this train was the last thing anyone anticipated. The attackers surround the target, their intentions clear and deadly. A cold ultimatum is issued: surrender or face a painful end. The tension rises as the realization of the danger sets in. For the passengers, one observer watches closely, analyzing the strength of the intruder. The assessment is grim. This mage is likely a high-class threat, matching the level of the observer himself. The stakes have just been raised to a level that could destroy everything. Every movement is calculated, every breath heavy, with the weight of the coming clash. The confrontation is inevitable, and the consequences will be devastating. But as the magic surges, one question remains: who will survive this encounter?
The tension is rising!
It's been 30 minutes since the explosion, and the silence is deafening. The aftermath of the blast is still settling, leaving everyone in a state of high alert. But then, something impossible happens. A sudden movement breaks the stillness. The guards are frozen in shock. Did he really just jump? Orders are barked out frantically as the search begins immediately. They scan the area, eyes darting everywhere, but the target has vanished. The realization sets in. He's truly gone. Or so they thought. Suddenly, a terrified shout pierces through the air. Everyone looks up in horror. He's not gone. He's right above them, watching from the roof. The realization hits the group like a physical blow. How could someone move with such impossible speed? They can't even comprehend it. Is it flight magic? The very idea of keeping up with a moving train using such power seems utterly impossible. But there's no time for confusion. The leader snaps, demanding immediate action to hunt down the mysterious intruder. The order is given. They recognize him as a mage, a threat that normal soldiers simply cannot contain. The squad splits up, focusing their full force on raiding the first train, desperate to intercept the target. The target is moving fast, a blur of motion cutting through the air, leaving the pursuers in the dust.
He's heading for the rear of the train!
The chase is on, and if they lose sight of him now,
the mission is over!
A sudden, violent explosion shatters the silence, leaving nothing but chaos in its wake. The realization hits like a physical blow. This wasn't just an attack, it was a calculated ambush. A mysterious figure emerges from the shadows, their presence radiating a cold, lethal intent. They move with a precision that defies logic, appearing more like a seasoned killer than a mere mage. The comparison is chilling. This individual possesses the ruthless efficiency of a mercenary. Panic begins to set in as the true scale of the danger becomes apparent. Every eye is fixed on the unfolding disaster, watching the destruction unfold in real time. A single, terrifying realization stops everyone in their tracks.
The tracks are being separated!
The entire plan is falling apart
right before their very eyes!
With the trains splitting, there's no turning back. Can anyone survive this catastrophe? A heavy realization settles in. The truth was right in front of them, but it was far too late to act. The weight of the situation becomes unbearable as the consequences of inaction begin to unfold. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. A sense of urgency pierces through the silence. Chaos erupts as the environment itself seems to react to the unfolding crisis. The scale of the movement is massive, leaving no room for error. A sudden realization strikes like lightning. The target is moving faster than anyone anticipated. The pursuit is on, but the gap is widening with every passing second. A masked figure watches from the shadows, their expression unreadable and cold. The realization hits hard. The opportunity has vanished. The target has escaped. A desperate plea is made to stay the course, but the damage is already done. But as the dust settles, a chilling promise remains. This is far from over. A deadly promise hangs in the air, a vow of vengeance that threatens to shatter the peace. Suddenly, a sudden realization strikes, leaving the witnesses frozen in pure disbelief. An overwhelming magical pressure begins to saturate the atmosphere, heavy and suffocating. The air grows thick with an unrecognizable power, forcing everyone to look around in panic. Then a blinding light erupts, revealing a presence that shouldn't be there. A figure stands enveloped in a golden glow, radiating an energy that commands total attention. As the light fades, the true terror sets in. The eyes of the witness are wide with a single, haunting question. How could he have arrived so soon? The impossible has just become a reality. The realization hits like a physical blow. Was everything leading up to this moment nothing more than a carefully laid trap? Suddenly,
the air erupts!
A blinding pillar of light tears through the darkness, leaving no room for escape. Panic sets in as the ground trembles. There's no time to think, only the instinct to move before it's too late. The light intensifies, a searing brilliance that threatens to consume everything in its path. Every instinct screams one thing: Rayuan. But the shadows are closing in faster than expected. The escape attempt is a blur of motion and pure adrenaline as the danger looms closer. But even in the chaos, a chilling sense of dread remains. Something is watching from the periphery. A gloved hand reaches out, steady and cold. The true mastermind is finally making their move. The smoke clears, revealing a figure standing amidst the wreckage of a battlefield. With a heavy breath, the realization sets in. The long struggle has finally reached its end, but the silence is broken by a voice filled with disbelief. A survivor emerges from the shadows. The wounded man stares in pure shock, unable to comprehend how anyone could still be standing. His eyes burn with rage and betrayal, accusing the survivor of having no conscience left. He clings to the idea of righteousness, claiming their violence was merely for the sake of their homeland. But the survivor remains unfazed, his gaze chillingly calm in the face of such desperate pleas. A terrifying truth begins to surface, one that strikes deeper than any physical wound. The survivor delivers a verdict that shatters the wounded man's delusions of glory. The realization is devastating. The person standing before him is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. As the truth sinks in, the wounded man is left speechless. What will happen next in this deadly encounter?
The tension is rising.
A cold truth is revealed as the man stares down his opponent, reminding them that the real enemies were the ones who struck first. He doesn't hold back, questioning the very nature of the fight that has been brought to his doorstep. With a look of pure disdain, he mocks the cruelty of those who have already taken lives. Seeing no honor in their actions, he calls out their pathetic nature, labeling their path of destruction as nothing more than pitiable weakness. A moment of heavy silence follows, as he admits that if things were different, he might have simply let them pass by. But there's a catch. He knows that once their eyes meet, there is no turning back from the inevitable confrontation. The realization hits like a physical blow. The moment of recognition is upon them. A sudden burst of energy erupts, signaling that the time for words has officially ended. The scarred figure stands revealed, his presence overwhelming and filled with a terrifying, raw power. As the light fades, only one question remains. Can anyone survive the storm that is about to break? A sharp, piercing gaze cuts through the darkness, signaling that the calm is about to shatter. With incredible speed, a figure lunges forward, moving like a blur across the battlefield. The impact is sudden, leaving no room for hesitation or error. Amidst the chaos, a voice breaks the silence, checking on the well-being of those caught in the fray. The words are meant to steady the shaken, offering a flicker of hope in a desperate moment. But the true weight of the situation is revealed when a legendary presence makes its entrance. The atmosphere shifts instantly as a name is spoken, one that commands respect and fear. The arrival of the cold steel. Night changes the entire tide of the conflict. With this arrival, the stakes have been raised to an unimaginable level. But can this legendary warrior truly turn the tide? Or is this just the beginning of a much larger catastrophe?